All right, you guys. I think I got blessed again because it's just starting to pour as I'm starting my break, but it wasn't pouring when I was outside. So I'll take that. I'll take that. A couple other things I wanted to share, biblical teachings. One of them is that no one is ever lost and no one is ever truly found. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of times people are hurt, especially in churches, because they believe someone is truly found. In other words, that they are without flaws, that they have truly found God, and now they just, levitate over the rest of us. And the reality is, when someone gives their life to Jesus, that's obviously a very amazing thing. But the only thing more amazing than that is when they do that on a continual basis. When someone gives their life to Jesus, that's an incredible thing. But if they choose to only do that once and then, for the remaining years of their lives, they don't actually follow Jesus, um, then that one moment doesn't really mean much. Why I'm saying all of this is to say, just because someone, um, might be representing Jesus very well, that doesn't mean that they're going to get things right all the time or that they're never going to make mistakes again. And I say that because a lot of the times when people experience church hurt, it's because they placed so much faith and trust into someone to the point where they were almost giving them the level of trust that you would give to God. And so when they ended up making a mistake, it really hurt them. It really threw them off. And then they started claiming that, God failed them or God, didn't live up to the expectation that he set for himself. And the reality is, whenever those things happen, when pastors or priests do really crappy things, that's not something that's not to say that somehow God's fault. That's the person's fault. That's not that God did. That's not that God made a mistake. That's the person who made a mistake. So whenever I hear people say those things, I always try to remind them, like, it's not God who hurt you. It was that person. If you want to leave that church or leave that ministry, like that's super understandable. But don't leave Jesus altogether because Jesus. It's not Jesus' fault that that person did whatever. And the same can be said the other way. No one has ever truly lost. No one has ever gone so far down the rabbit hole of sins or terrible crimes that they cannot be forgiven. So we must remember that. Don't ever trust someone 100% because we're all full of flaws, but don't ever give up on anyone either because there is always a chance for redemption.